How are you doing, guys? This is ZedEye here. So today I wanted to do a little bit of a voting on the game of the year and all of the rest of the categories that finally is available to be done now for the Game Awards of 2023. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Cannot wait to see what they got in store. Now, I already have taken a look and seen what game of the year, well, in terms of the six, chosen games that have the opportunity of winning the game of the year. I think we all know which game will get that kind of spot, but also I am purposely not going to make it obvious. I'm going to choose something else instead because, well, I don't think I've played a lot of those games, and you know what? I'll get into it eventually. So let's start from the category that at least from least important in some ways I could say to most important, right? Well, they're not really like least important, they're all important in a lot of ways. So, okay, so as you can see categories here on the screen, and there's esports related stuff. I'm not gonna bother with them because, well, genuinely talking, I don't really much care about that sort of stuff. I'm also gonna skip content creator of the year, but most anticipated game, I definitely want to do this since I'm looking forward to a lot of games that are coming out soon. So here we got 5 chosen games. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8. To be honest with you, I already know which is the obvious and most anticipated game for me out of these 6. It definitely would be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And of course, this really depends on what kind of games that you're really into and what kind of choices that you'd like to make. Well, related, of course, to these anticipated games. But yeah, vote for me would definitely be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Next, I want to get into the best adaptation. We got 6 choices once again. Let's get in. Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us, a Super Mario Bros. Movie, and of course Twisted Metal. I've seen, well, majority of them actually, now that I think about it, except Super Mario 1. But yeah, my choice definitely would be The Last of Us. Actually, now that I think about it, perhaps I should have went with Castlevania, but to be honest with you, I didn't finish watching it, so I can't make that kind of decision. Now, sure, I could just wait, for a few more days, few weeks until I actually, make a choice and actually properly make my voting decision, but no. In this case, I'm pretty confident to say that I'd rather go with The Last of Us. I really have enjoyed that show. Next, we're getting into the best multiplayer. So we got options: Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'll be honest, I don't really much have experience with any of these. Street Fighter 6 is a fighting game. I'm not really into fighting. Super Mario Bros. Is on Nintendo. The only Nintendo game this year I played was, well, Zelda. But Party Animals, Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think, in my obvious opinion, Baldur's Gate 3 genuinely deserves this win, for sure. But that's what I think. I will get into a little bit more as we continue on with this video. Next up, we're getting into best sports and, well, racing. We got EA Sports FC 24, basically FIFA. It's basically FIFA, but renamed. F1 23, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and then we're getting into Crew Motorfest. I think my obvious choice would have been Forza Motorsport, but I did see a lot of problems with this game. So instead, I'm gonna go with the little bit of an underdog, but actually was a surprise hit, at least for me. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 definitely deserves my choice. Alright, next up I want to get into the best fighting games. So we got God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawler 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. There's only really 2 games out of here that I genuinely think kind of deserves more. It is Mortal Kombat 1 and of course Street Fighter 6. I heard very good news about these 2 games in general. For me personally, I think I still would rather go for Mortal Kombat 1 though. But again, to each its own basically. Here's the big one. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Best RPG. So we got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. Now, for the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 is here, it would be an obvious choice, but an RPG. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is a good choice, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. So I'm gonna go with Baldur's Gate 3. Final Fantasy 16, no, it's more of an action fantasy. There's a lot more kind of catered towards that direction. Now here we are, best action and adventure. Final Fantasy 16 would definitely be an easy choice to put it here, but for some reason it's not in the nominees, unfortunately. Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Now being action and adventure, Tears of the Kingdom really works here. Same goes to Star Wars. I can't really say much about that in terms of the Resident Evil 4, and also goes towards the Alan Wake 2 personally for me. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is an incredible action-adventure game, and I think I'm going to go with this choice. I'm going to go with Marvel Spider-Man 2, yes. Best action game. For the best game that's action genre focused primarily on the combat. Well, obviously with all these games, I personally think that there's only one that genuinely deserves it. And even though I don't agree with it, in terms of being, my favorite or not, it's not, because I think Armored Core 6, it's not my cup of tea, basically. But I'm not going to deny the fact that I think that it probably deserves it more. But I'm going to give it to a sleep hitter, basically. I'm going to give it to Dead Island 2. But, I'm still kind of conflicted in terms of Remnant 2, because that was a very good action game. Ghost Runner 2 is an incredible action game as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it to Dead Island 2, because even though I know for a fact that I don't really think they're going to win this genre, at least this selection, but my goodness, they were, a big surprise. Next up, we're getting into the best VR AR. Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Humanity, Resident Evil Village VR mode, and a Synapse. Gran Turismo 7 being a VR game is incredible. I heard very good things about it. Horizon unfortunately didn't actually live up to the expectations. Now Resident Evil Village VR though, that was a big incredible treat. I am only conflicted with Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village VR, so which one would genuinely deserve more? In my opinion, that's hard to say, man. I might have to give it to Resident Evil, because I think it really works as a VR component and as a gameplay in terms of that, as being first person and stuff like that. Yeah, Resident Evil for me. Next up, I definitely wanted to get into this one. Best Community Support recognizes a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game update patches. Oh man, this is tough. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm not too sure. I'm not certain about this. No Man's Sky, I do know, and actually Final Fantasy. Oh goodness me. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Destiny 2, nobody's going to choose this nowadays since, that we have heard about the situation that they're going through. So now for my good conscience, I cannot give it to them. Final Fantasy 14, No Man's Sky, maybe even Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is incredible with its updated expansion as well, and the continuous support, and also the willingness of actually, trying to do their best from the fuck up that they had. Well, it's not to say that Final Fantasy 14 was not in a different position, because they were pretty much in the same position. The game came out, was broken, nobody liked it, but then they re-released it more or less, and it was an incredible experience. But so many of these games done the same. But, Baldur's Gate 3 came out fantastic, and yet continues to be supported, so perhaps naturally the correct choice, I think, will be Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm not going to give it to them. Instead, I'm going to give it to Cyberpunk 2077, because being as a single-player game, they genuinely didn't have to continue supporting it as much as they have, and I genuinely think they deserve all that kind of kudos. So next up, we're getting into the best ongoing game, awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over the time. Now, the correct choice is definitely be Fortnite, but I feel like they kind of went down the hill as of recently, and sort of recently. Genshin Impact, I haven't really much heard about them too much, but I feel like they would win this. Final Fantasy 14, I didn't really hear about them too much either. Apex Legends, I'm hearing some rumblings regarding that. Cyberpunk is more newer for the news and more fresh, and that's why it's easier for me to choose this. I think, but it's hard to give this option to Cyberpunk, but perhaps also because I'm being a little bit too biased towards it. But I feel outstanding development of ongoing content. No, this isn't outstanding. Actually, now that I think about it, all of these games are outstanding in their own ways. But because I've really enjoyed Cyberpunk, I might have to give it to Cyberpunk again. Probably it is probably my conscience screaming at me and saying like, oh, you have to be a little bit more biased towards it or something like that. Next up, we're getting into innovation in accessibility, and so that I'm looking at all these games, I feel there's only one real game here that genuinely excels in in the accessibility, and that will be Spider-Man. Because PlayStation has been really concentrating on the accessibilities and for the people that are having difficulties of playing these games and stuff like that. So having a wider audience for this, it genuinely is a treat, and making sure that so many others and so many wider audiences will be able to experience these titles. And Spider-Man 2 is definitely it. Now, best performance is a tough one, definitely is. Ben Starr in Final Fantasy 16, he was an incredible voice actor, but I feel like his liners was not as impactful as it was for Yuri Lowenthal for Marvel Spider-Man 2 being Peter Parker. Oh, Idris Elba was incredible. Cameron also was incredible. I can't give it to them. I'm sorry, but I feel like Yuri or Idris. I'm gonna give it to Yuri. Like, with his outstanding voice performance and differences that he had to go through as well with the recording booth, like, it was an incredible experience to listen through the dialogues and the conversations that he had during the Marvel Spider-Man 2 as Peter. Now we're getting into the best audio design, recognized the best in-game audio and sound design. Whew, this is tough. Okay, so Dead Space, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil. Oh goodness, Alan Wake 2, that is difficult to say. Marvel Spider-Man 2, they're all fantastic. You know what? Every one of these games deserve their own merits for sure, because the audio design was incredible in all these games. A spooky atmosphere in Alan Wake 2 genuinely made it awesome. The Dead Space also gave it like kind of horror elements, and sound design in there was incredible. Hi-Fi Rush. I can't really say much about this game. I actually didn't really play it. Marvel Spider-Man 2, well, that was an incredible adventure. It's just a roller coaster of an experience, and hearing that all in your headphones or listening through the speakers was incredible. Resident Evil 4 also was spooky atmosphere. Oh man, this is a difficult choice. I would want to give it to I think I'm gonna give it to Dead Space. Maybe. Or maybe not. I don't want to give it to a remake game as well, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. So that's why I never chose Resident Evil 4. Perhaps I'm not going to do that too for Dead Space. I don't think that's exactly a right choice. So my options will be Alan Wake 2 or Marvel Spider-Man 2. Alan Wake 2, I feel like it's kind of lost the appeal for me. And it's not in the sound design. But I'm not going to deny that it was incredible. I specifically and strictly talk about the best audio design option for it, So I'm going to go with Marvel Spider-Man 2 in this one. Best score and music for outstanding music inclusive of score, original songs, and or licensed soundtrack. Death Stranding 2 or Death Stranding in general would be the easiest choice, because that definitely deserves an 11 out of 10. Yeah, I just still can't forget about the music choices that Hideo Kojima used in that game. Was incredible. I actually made a review, a 4th anniversary video for it as well. So that's why it was fresh in my mind about it. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 was incredible soundtrack, seriously. Legend, oh no, I can't give it to Legend of Zelda, no. I'm sorry, but no way. Hi-Fi Rush, I'm excluding that as well since I didn't really play it. Baldur's Gate 3, no, I don't think that will really kind of resonates with a lot of people. I don't believe it's just the music, it's different things and different elements. Alan Wake 2 was incredible as well, but I feel like I'm gonna give it to Final Fantasy 16, and also because it kind of deserves it, because it's the only game I finally chosen that actually, a game in this nominations I actually chose to vote. Alright, we're getting into best art direction, but first of all I want to mention that I actually on purposely skipped quite a lot of categories. This is why you're going to see that the vote cast is not going to be full, even though I will be by the time, I'm not sure, 4 or 5 more categories, and then we'll be reaching to the game of the year. And so, like I said, I'm not going to be doing a lot of those, especially the games that I'm not even familiar with. So best art direction, Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievements in artistic design and the animation. Alan Wake 2 might be it. I'm choosing easy. Alan Wake 2, oh yes, absolutely, definitely deserves it. 100% I think. Next up, best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. That's hard. I almost chose Cyberpunk, but then Marvel Spider-Man 2 brought up in my mind. But in terms of the narrative, I think Cyberpunk outmatches Marvel Spider-Man 2. Final Fantasy, no, I'm sorry. It's bombastic, it's incredible, but not in terms of the narrative, at least not for me. I'm gonna choose Cyberpunk 2077, especially the Phantom Liberty. Alright, we are now finally in the second last one. Best Game Direction. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonders, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. An award for an outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Okay, Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom automatically exclude because they are not innovative. They are sequels to continuations, so I'm sorry, they do not deserve to be here. Baldur's Gate 3 is close because there are differences from Baldur's Gate 2 and 3, so this is quite an easy choice. I might actually have to go with this option. Yes, Baldur's Gate 3 deserves it more. Alright, now we are here. The Game of the Year. Recognized as a game that delivers an absolute best experience across all the creative and technical fields. Alright, so Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm so glad to see that Starfield's not here because like that would be like seriously a robbed option. Like I think Resident Evil 4 deserves to be here more than Starfield. In fact, I would think that Final Fantasy 16 deserves to be here rather than Resident Evil 4. Maybe. The only reason I say that is because it's a remake as well. So like, can we really make that kind of option to see that a remake could get a Game of the Year? It really depends on the person and their, the objective feel for it. Legend of Zelda, oh goodness me, this is difficult. This is very difficult. Okay, remember when I said at the beginning of the video that a lot of options and a lot of choices automatically, like we already know Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win the Game of the Year for 2023 at the Game Awards for sure. But I'm not going to choose Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to choose Marvel Spider-Man 2 instead. I would have had a little more difficulties of figuring out and choosing, this game or perhaps maybe Final Fantasy 16, but since it's not here, then it's an easier choice for me. The Legend of Zelda, it's more of the same as we have seen Breath of the Wild. That's why I'm automatically not going to choose this. Resident Evil 4, like I said, remake. It's very hard for me to make this kind of decision now. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I did not play it, so it's automatically excluded. Alan Wake 2, no. I'm sorry, but no, he does not. Like, all these games I think deserve Game of the Year far more than Alan Wake 2. Even though, don't get me wrong, Alan Wake 2 is an incredible game. It's still here. It definitely has all the merits that it goes for. So, it's an incredible experience. But, I'm going to choose Marvel Spider-Man 2. That's my option. Alright guys, that's it. That was all of the choices that I wanted to make for this video. Now as you can see here, Games for Impact, Best Independent Game, Best Debut Indie Games. So some of these categories, well, it would make no sense for me to vote. I'm just thinking about it as well. Grand Theft Auto 6, why is that not one of the more anticipated games since it was announced? Probably Grand Theft Auto 6 will end up getting the most anticipated games won at the Game Awards. Well, that's all I wanted to do for today. Do let me know what you think about this list, as well as do let me know which game deserves more being at the Game Awards, and especially being the Game of the Year. That would be very interesting to see. Alright guys, like and subscribe. See you guys all, and have a wonderful day.